with Peter Knutson, Jefferson former player, coach. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You graduated in 2014. Does it feel like now over a decade since you were here inside Jefferson High School as a student?
I would say it feels right about at that time because I was thinking about how I've been coaching for 6 years, so 6 plus 4 in college is about 10 years. So yeah, it's lined up right about to that.
When did you know growing up that you wanted to be a Jaguar football player and run out at Bloomington Stadium on those Friday nights?
Well, it's a funny story. I actually played soccer up to my junior year. Coach Starlene, going into senior year, had me on the bench still. I wasn't that good, so I thought, all right, let's go out for football. And Coach Carlson is a good family friend of mine. He was kind enough to take me on the football team, and I fell in love on day one right away. So probably one of the latest to realize I wanted to be a Jag football player as far as the history goes.
How did those conversations work with you and Coach C to be able to get you out there, obviously in the summer before the season and get you ready to make an impact on the fall so quickly?
Well, I think he knew I was a decent basketball player, decent athlete, so he's like, hey, try on a helmet. It's your senior year. What do you have to lose type of thing. So that's what I did, and I'm so thankful that Coach C took a chance on me and invited me to come play on the team because I don't know where I would be without that opportunity.
Did you have any football experience, BAA, or?
No.
Absolutely none. Obviously, you kicked a soccer ball, so that was part of your duties with Jefferson. So how did that help prepare you for the kicking aspect that you were a part of?
Yeah, I mean, I really kind of got thrown into kicking and punt returning too. I remember it was the first game where I kind of had to do both of those with some injuries and mistakes. So I really didn't have a whole lot besides backyard football with my buddies growing up. So and basketball, I guess. But yeah, no, not a whole lot of prep really leading up to Jefferson football.
And interesting too, because soccer, obviously a game where unless you're the goalie, you cannot use your hands. All of a sudden, you're a punter, you need to catch the ball. You're a wide receiver, you also need to catch the ball. So how is that dynamic of going from a sport where you literally don't use your hands at all to now it's maybe the most integral part of the game?
Yeah, that part was definitely, I mean, I always had pretty good hands in basketball, but yeah, it was a very interesting point you made. I think the hardest transition was putting on a helmet. I remember the first couple of days, the 2 days, my neck and head hurt for the next week. I also remember this is kind of a side tangent too, I remember being so excited for my first day of football practice that I actually threw up in the morning before, so I was already dehydrated for 2 days. Never played the sport before. That's how excited I was to be a Jag football player.
What made you? Were you partly nervous too? What made you so excited as a guy who's played, like you said, Jefferson soccer, Jefferson basketball? What made you so excited to be a football player for the first time?
I just think a lot of being out there with a lot of my buddies and getting to play probably the biggest sport of any high school sport that there is. Just the excitement and energy around that is what had me feeling pretty anxious in the morning, but in a good way.
So when you get out there to your first home game at Bloomington Stadium, obviously a field that you've been very familiar with on the soccer team, but no shade to the soccer team, a little bit of a different environment when you look back at your stands, and instead of maybe some parents and close friends, the stands are packed full of Jaguar fans.
Yeah, no, it was, and the crazy thing was our first game was the Kennedy game too, which is the biggest of the year, obviously, and there was a lot of trash talk going on Twitter. So I was definitely very nervous, and actually I remember the first play of the game was a kickoff. We kicked it off to them, and one of my best friends, Jake Schubert, was out there. He's a corner, and he was trying to take on a blocker, and he got tea-kettled sideways right in front of me, my first ever football game, and I had to go back on offense after that. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go out here after this. This is the first play of the game, and they scored. Kennedy scored on the kickoff return, so that was a way to start a football career for sure.
How did you adjust to that physicality of, again, a sports soccer? There's contact there, but you're only allowed to slide tackle. You're not allowed to bear hug someone and wrap them up to the ground in that way. So How is it adjusting to that dynamic?
I mean, luckily when you play receiver, you're not really doing a lot of hitting and you're not getting hit too hard. So I can't say I really took that many big hits in high school. Now, when I went to college, I played tight end, so that was a whole different game. But I think playing receiver is a little bit different game than playing in the trenches with the other positions. So it wasn't too hard.
How were you able to pick up the sport of football so quickly? You said never played it really before other than someone's backyard, but not organized football, and all of a sudden you're good enough to play football at the college level. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think would be my message to younger players too, is you don't have to be I obviously had some natural talent, but I wasn't anything crazy. But I think that I really tried to get in the playbook and know all the plays right away, and just try hard and do what the coaches tell you to do. I mean, you can just do those basic things and be ahead of your competition. So I think the fact that I was able to do those definitely set me apart from maybe some of the other players on the field and into that next level as well.
Who were some of those coaches that were influential at your time at Jefferson that you did listen to, that coached you up and prepared you for success in this sport?
I mean, Coach Carlson, obviously, he was the best for sure. But then Coach Dahman was actually my freshman coach, Coach Jake Dahman, for basketball. And so all of us looked up to him. He was our first ever high school coach. So then getting to go play for him, that was my favorite part, was having Coach Dahman be my coach. So I really respected him, looked up to him, and wanted to be like him and listen to what he had to say.
That had to be kind of a comforting feeling as someone who had first time playing football, but now you have a familiar face and a familiar leader to help you make that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. And clearly he's a great coach. Right now he's the head coach over at Shakopee High School. So a familiar face and also a guy who knows what he's talking about and who cares about you. I mean, that's what makes him a great coach, but also I feel like all the Jefferson coaches that I've ever had, whether it be football or basketball, have had those traits to them.
And you're one of the people that have coached for Jefferson as well. Why did you want to make that a part of your story with this program and with your life?
Yeah, I mean, so at the time I was actually a teacher in Bloomington Public Schools, and we just had the opening. And so Tim, again, he seems to be the pattern of inviting me to come do stuff for him, asked if I wanted to be the coach, and I just thought about how that playing for Jefferson and then moving on and going and play for Bethel had such a transformative impact on my life. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to then hopefully get to pay that forward to the future athletes. So yeah, just what it was poured into me, both at my 1 year at Jefferson, but then going on to Bethel, being able to give that back was really what pushed me to be a coach here at Jefferson.
Are there any former coaches that maybe you have taken some things from and applied it, and maybe stolen is not the right word, but kind of used them as kind of a model of the coach that you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think watching Coach, Coach Jim Johnson was one of my actually co-players at Bethel, and I think just his intensity and who he was as a person really is what helped me lock in. But I do think Coach Dahman probably was who I learned from the most, because he's not necessarily a yeller, but he would hold you to a high standard. And that's what I probably didn't do the best job, but that's what I tried my best to do, was to hold players to a high standard and try to give them some autonomy and control over themselves. Because we can tell them to do what we want them to do, but it's up to them ultimately if they really want it or not. So yeah, learning from Coach Dahman to hold people to a high standard, but to try to give them some autonomy to do it themselves.